Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Saturday evening live session where we are going to go deeper into advanced hypothesis testing, which is called as non-parametric testing. Okay, so what is non-parametric testing? What is this advanced hypothesis? When do we use this? Everything we are going to discuss. Can we just have a support from the back, please? Super. Thank you very much. And so today, let's understand how many of you understand the basic hypothesis. Just give me in the chat box the basic hypothesis testing. How many of you understand it? Just type me in the chat box if you understand the basic hypothesis. I hope it is on, isn't it? It must be, no? Yes. Super. Okay. Yeah, everybody, can you just type if you understand basic hypothesis? Type me in the chat box. If you don't understand, just type no. No, no. I don't know anything about basic hypothesis. Because generally what we do is we cover, the Saturdays we cover a little advanced topics, okay? And the Mondays we cover our basic topics majorly, just to balance this out. All right, not to worry, I'll just start the, let's understand the basic fundamental of what is hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing, we do generally in analyze phase. In the DMAT framework, I'll give you a very basic example, which I always used to give earlier, basically. The example was of Sachin Tendulkar. Okay. Now, when Sachin Tendulkar used to play one-day cricket, there was a saying in India, ये कहावत थी इंडिया में, that whenever Sachin makes the century, India loses the match. India loses the game. How many of you have heard this saying before? Just type me in the chat box. In your 2000 and 2010s, you would have definitely heard about this because we have seen Sachin Tendulkar, right from his childhood and the initial phases till his retirement. We have seen him growing. We have seen all his phases of the career, his successful story, everything. Right? A lot of people must have heard it. Now, what is the fact of the matter? Let's try to understand this. Out of um, how many 49 centuries he has made in one day cricket I'm talking about. Okay. So these are the total centuries. Only 12 times Indian cricket team lost the match. Now, out of 49 times, whenever he has made the century in one day cricket, 12 times Indian cricket team, has lost the match. Now, tell me, can you say whenever he makes a century, India loses the game? Can we say that? Just type yes or no in the chat box. Can we say that? So this is Sachin Tendulkar. Now, same goes with Virat Kohli. Approximately 50 centuries he has and 10 losses. See, cricket being a team sport. It's not an individual sport. It's not Sachin Tendulkar versus this. It is team sport. So century is, I believe it will help the course of winning and not the course of losing. Okay. Now, this is, let's say, Virat Kohli. If you see the stats, there is no lot of difference between these two legendary batsmen. There is no, of course, both are legendary batsmen. There is no doubt about it. Okay. But if you see the stats, they're absolutely similar to each other, not much difference. But we never heard about Virat Kohli whenever he makes the century, India loses the game. Where we hear that whenever Sachin makes the century, India loses the game. Now, this is called hypothesis. Hypothesis is assumption. Now, testing that hypothesis, testing that assumption with the real data, it's called as hypothesis testing. Are you clear? Basic fundamental. Just give me yes in the chat box. So testing your hypothesis with the real data, real example, it's called hypothesis testing. Yes, just give me yes in the chat box. We use very simple example. Super, right? Another example could be, more the experienced people in the team, lesser will be the rejection, lesser will be the defects. So collect the data of experienced people, collect the data of defects, put the hypothesis testing, and you will realize that whatever we assume may not be true completely, right? So our decision making in a traditional way of decision making is mostly on our opinions, our hypotheses, our assumptions, our hunches. But what statistics say, what Six Sigma says, do not give any kind of, do not consider any kind of assumption. Okay, just take decisions purely based on the data. Okay, just a second. All right, so what Six Sigma is suggesting, please collect the data and prove your assumption, check your assumption, and then you take the next step forward. Okay, so generally what we do hypothesis testing. As I said earlier, we do it in the analysis phase. Okay, so basically what we do in analysis phase, we, if you consider the the roadmap of analysis phase, analyze phase, basically we first do the fishbone analysis, right? Fishbone. Now, fishbone is nothing but we identify the primary causes, right? Man, machine, method, material, etc. So we identify primary causes. Then we do root cause analysis, YY analysis, to find out root causes. And then we validate those root causes with the help of hypothesis testing. Because the root causes, whatever we have identified, are also nothing but assumptions. We are assuming these things, right? So we have to test those root causes with the help of hypothesis testing. Okay. Now, the people who are aware of hypothesis testing, can you just give me a couple of examples of different types of hypothesis testing you have learned in your green belt or the black belt curriculum? Just give me one or two examples of different types of hypothesis testing. I'm just going to take just a basic fundamental. Hypothesis testing, yeah. The people who are aware of the hypothesis testing, please type which test you have learned. T-test, okay, very good. What is that? CAT? ये नहीं समझा मैं. Okay, CAT, पता नहीं क्या है विवेक जी. T-test, yes, we have seen multiple T-tests. We have seen what? One sample T-test. We have seen two sample T-test. We have seen pair T-test. Correct? Very good. One sample, two sample. In the black belt level, we have seen pair T-test. Very good. Then we have seen ANOVA. If you remember, black belt में हम लोग cover करते हैं ANOVA. So generally green belt में we have just covered one sample and two sample T-test. Correct? हाँ, Anderson-Darling normality test is also a hypothesis. That's an amazing point, Mahesh ji. AD test is also a hypothesis. So by the way, it is normality test. This is also a hypothesis test. We assume that the data is normal. Okay, and then we put the data into the AD test and it will give us the p-value, right? Chi-square test. Very good. Super. Now, so these are various types of hypothesis testing we are using right now. All right. Now, let's talk about, so there are two types of hypothesis. So let me quickly touch upon the basic fundamentals of it. For the people who are not aware about hypothesis, so basically what we do is, everybody knows about population and a sample. Population and a sample. Everybody knows about it. So we basically take sample, which is a subset of the population. So this is my sample. For example, let's say when we cook the rice, let's say full cooker full of rice or a big pot of rice. Now we do not eat entire rice or do not check the entire rice to check whether it is cooked or not. We take a small sample of it, maybe crush it, and then we check that whether it is properly cooked or not. That is called sample. So population is the entire quantity of rice, and the sample is whatever you have taken a small bit of it just to test whether it is properly cooked or not. It is called sample, right? Now, what we do in statistics, we test the sample, and on the basis of the sample, we infer about the population. We take the decision on the population. In your quality checking also, you would have seen that. Okay, let's say you are having some product. So you take a small sample of that product and you check that product, whether it is, in the specification limit or not. And then you okay the product, whether it is, within the specification, okay to go to the customer or not. So what we do, we take a small sample and we take the decision on the population. Are you clear with the concept of sample and population? Just give me yes in the chat box. Yes, so we follow the sampling plan, sampling strategies, etc. Correct? Everybody clear with the population and sample? Very simple example of cooking of rice, etc. Just give me yes in the chat box so that I can proceed further. Yeah, thank you, Girish. Super. Anybody who does not know this, let me know. Okay, it's very simple, population and sample. Okay, because see, practically is not possible to check the population, and economically not possible, practically not possible, and not viable as well. So we check the sample and not the population. So once we do that, then what happens? So this is called, so whatever statistics we basically check with sample, it's called as descriptive statistics. So this is descriptive statistics. For example, let's say the mean of that sample is called as X bar. X bar, okay, it's called as mean. And small s is called as standard deviation. Standard deviation. Okay. So small s is representative of a standard deviation of the sample. X bar is representation of the average or the mean of the sample. And on that basis, we predict that the population mean, which is called as mu. Okay, this is basically mean is represented by mu, and sigma is represented by standard deviation represented by sigma. Okay, so we check X bar and we predict about mu. We check small s and we predict about the behavior of the population. And this is called as inferential statistics. So the predicted parameters of the population are called inferential statistics. The simple example of a cricket match I always give. Let's say you are playing you are watching a T20 match. Okay. And after 5 overs, 20 runs, or 5 overs, 40 runs and 2 wickets. This is the descriptive statistics. So let me write 5 overs to 40 runs, let's say, and 2 wickets. It is called descriptive statistics, whereas the projected score, on the basis of the behavior of the sample, there is a projected score parameter you would have seen. That is, let's say that it says 160 runs, or you may say 170 runs, or maybe 180 runs, which will be, yes, which would be basically, which can happen after 20 overs. It's called projected score. It is called inferential statistics. This is called about the population. So clear here, sample and population, descriptive and inferential statistics. Just give me yes in the chat box with some simple examples. Basic fundas are clear? Just give me yes. All right. So in hypothesis, what we do, we check the sample and we do the inferential statistics. We check a value called a p-value. Okay. So when we follow some sampling strategies, basically, so let me just clear this out. So when we use some sampling strategies, we are not taking the 100% of the data of the population. We are taking a small percentage of the data. So, but if you are following the perfect sampling strategies, which are defined by the regulator, which are defined by your quality department, then we can say that our confidence level about predicting the behavior of the population is around 95%. This is called confidence level. Now, when we are 95% confident about the prediction, there is an error which can always happen, and that is called as, yes, that is called as what? Anybody in the room? This level of 5% is called as, confidence level is 95%. So what is 5% level? No, it is not defect. There is a specific name I'm expecting. What is that name? P-value is attained this level. It's called P-value. You are very close. So that name is called significance value. Write this down. Significance value. Significance value. So when confidence level is 95%, the significance level is 5%. And what is so significance level? Significance level. So this significance level, whatever p value is there, so it is checked against this significance level. So significance level is just like, your 70% passing mark is the significance level. And what is actual mark you have scored, it's called p value. Understand this? Just in the context of our, our Lean Six Sigma examination. So our significance level is what? 70%. Now your actual marks you have scored is actually that p-value, which is attained significance level. Okay. Actual marks. So for example, if you score 75%, that is pass. If you score 65%, that is fail. So accordingly, we take a decision. Okay. Now, just to make it very simple, because we are not checking 100%, we are checking some part of the sample. Okay. And how much part you have to consider, how many samples you have to take. There are some rules and regulations. Every industry has their own rules and regulations. That's why I call it as sampling strategies, which are derived by the regulator or the company itself. Okay. So if you follow them, then you can set your confidence level at 95%. Okay. But there is a margin of error, which we call it as a significance level. Okay. Now, what we do in hypothesis, we collect the data and we put that data in the software, and software calculates a value called p-value. And this p-value is nothing but how much you have, how many marks you have scored. That's it. Simple, like this. In your exam, how many marks you have scored. Okay. So this p-value, which is called as probability value. Okay, so this p-value is checked against this. Now, 5% is nothing but 0.5, 0.05, not 0.5. 5% is what? 5 divided by 100, right? So what is 5 divided by 100 is 0.05. So if your p-value is less than 0.05, then generally we reject null hypothesis. Okay. And if it is greater than 0.05, then we fail to reject or accept null hypothesis. Now, what is null hypothesis? Null hypothesis is called as statement of equality, null hypothesis, which is denoted by HO, null hypothesis, which is called statement of equality. I'll just give you examples so that you will understand this. Initially, it seems a little difficult to understand, but I'll make it very simple for you to understand. Statement of equality. Say I'm just covering the basics. Huh? I have not even started non-parametric test, but because once the fundamental is clear, your main concept will be very easily clear. Okay. And another one is called as alternate hypothesis, which is called as HA. This is called as statement of difference. Let me give you an example. So let's say there are two vendors. Okay. Vendor A and vendor B. And we want to check their delivery time data. Okay. So we want to compare which vendor is performing well, which vendor is really good. So what we will do, we will collect the deliveries of vendor A, and then we will collect the deliveries of vendor B, and we'll take the average of it. So let's say X bar, XA bar and XB bar. Okay. XA bar is, let's say we have taken 30 deliveries. How many days he has taken. Let's say I gave the order to the vendor A. How many days he took to deliver that order? That is called the delivery time, correct? So if I collect the 30 data points of vendor A and then 30 data points of vendor B, and I take the average of them. So my null hypothesis says XA bar is equal to XB bar. They are all, they are same. And my alternate will say, no, there is a statistically significant difference between XA bar and XB bar. Again, X bar is the average. It's very simple. It's a mean. Mean is nothing but the average, right? So then we will collect the actual data. We will put that data in the software called Minitab. Okay. Example, let's say first vendor has 10 days ka this one, and second vendor had, let's say, 11. Okay. So null hypothesis says XA bar is equal to XB bar. So vendor A ka average is 10 days, vendor B ka average is 11 days. Correct, everybody? So mathematically, there is a 1 day difference which is very clearly evident, right? Now, why are we doing this hypothesis testing? Because we want to check with this sample, this 1 day's ka difference is there. Is it significant difference if we consider the entire population? If we consider the long-term data, if we collect the long-term data, if I collect 1 year data in the future, will this 1 day ka difference be significant enough for our population? And that is what we are testing in this hypothesis test. Are you clear with this? Just give me yes in the chat box. Are you clear with this? Just give me yes with a simple example of this delivery time, 11 and 10 days. Just give me yes. Everybody, take a note of this. So, see, mathematically, there is a difference of 1 day. So you don't need any hypothesis testing to see the difference. Okay. But this difference, is it statistically significant for you to take the decision about the population, about the long-term data? That is where the hypothesis testing comes into picture. We collect the data, we'll put that in the software. If P and software will give us a P value. P value is probability value. If it is less than 0.05, we reject null. If it is greater than 0.05, we accept null hypothesis. Okay, so there is a rhyme. So there is a rhyming we remember. How many of you remember that rhyming? Just give me that rhyming in the chat box. What is that rhyming? I'm just writing here. Everybody, the new people, just write the rhyming exactly. Thank you very much, Satish ji. Thank you very much, Sadanand ji. Thank you very much, Anuj ji. It is P low and null go. You can easily remember this. P low, that means what? When the P is lower than 0.05, null go meaning reject null hypothesis. If P is greater than 0.05, then accept null hypothesis. That's it, simple. Okay, so what we will do, I'll just give you one, two sample t-test example so that with the example we will do it, okay? So that will be easier for you to understand even better. Let's take a practical example. So I'm just giving you this example of two sample t-test. All right, so I'm just giving you a file in your chat. If you have laptop with Minitab installed, please click and download this file. Okay. This is a two sample t-test file. Let me also open it. एक मिनट में मैं भी ओपन करता हूं, ठीक है? Yes, once you have opened, please let me know. Now this is the file which says standard data and pilot, standard process and the pilot process. Once you open, let me know, just file open so that we'll do this. Again, this is covered in the green belt level. Huh? This is the very basic stuff I'm covering. But once the basic is covered, then we can switch to our non-parametric test. These are all parametric tests which we are discussing right now. Opened, everybody? दोनों भी same file है. Either of this file you can open. Again, if you have the laptop with Minitab installed, then only it will open. Okay. Yeah. If you don't have laptop, just observe what we're doing and just understand the concept. That is more important. Okay. So here there is a standard process and there is a pilot process. Now, what we are doing here, we want to check whether the standard process average, which is XS, which is standard process. So null hypothesis kya bolega? Null will say XS bar is equal to XP bar. XS bar is nothing but the standard process average and XP bar is nothing but the pilot process average. So alternate will say no, there is a statistical significant difference. Okay. So we will put the data and we will check the p-value. If the p-value will check, if it is less than 0.05, we will reject null. Okay, if it is greater than 0.05, then we'll accept null. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go to stat basic statistics to sample t-test. Just follow this process. Stat basic statistics to sample t-test. Stat basic statistics to sample t-test. Once you click on that, this window will appear. Just select the second one. So just click on the drop down menu and select the second option, which is each sample in its own column. So there are 2-3 options which are given. Both samples are in one column. Each sample in its own column and summarize data. So because we have samples in its own column, so we are selecting the second option. Okay. In sample 1, select the standard process. Sample 2, select the pilot process. That's it. And click on OK. We have to check the p-value. Okay. So here we go. If this has come to you, then just check the p-value, which is 0.485. Everybody got it? Yeah. So here, the p-value is 0.485. Now, what is the conclusion? Yeah, what is the conclusion? Type the conclusion in the chat box. So there was a standard process and there was a pilot process. Okay, so we have taken average of this and average of pilot. So null hypothesis says both are equal. Alternate says both are not equal. There is a difference. Okay. So what we said, P, when the P is low, null go, right? That is what we discussed. Low meaning what? Lower than 0.05. But in this case, P is greater than 0.05, which is clearly evident. So we cannot say null go, which is reject null hypothesis. So we have to accept null hypothesis. Very simple. So what is null hypothesis? Both are equal. There is no statistically significant difference. Now see the mean here. If you see here, the standard process ka average is 14.65 and the pilot process ka average is 14.34. So there is hardly any difference here. And that difference also is not statistically significant. Difference is there. A minuscule difference of 0.3 is there, but that is not statistically significant. That is what p-value is checking. Now, how do we calculate this p-value? Manually also we can understand this. There is a, in the black belt level, we have a session, even in the hackathons also, we cover this session, how to calculate the p-value. Okay, it will take another half an hour, so I'm not covering this today, but you can calculate the p-value manually as well. Ultimately, see, very simple. Let's make the story short. What is the behavior of the current sample? And we are predicting the behavior of the population. So current sample says the average of standard is 14.65, average of pilot is 14.34. There is a small difference, but is this difference significant for the population? We put that in the hypothesis testing. The p-value is greater than 0.05, which says the difference is not significant at all. So we can say that standard and pilot are same. So this is whatever decision we want to take. Okay, so that let's say there is a new machine added in the process, and is that new machine making some difference in the standard? So the answer is no. There is no statistical significant difference found. So you can accept the new machine as in the process. That decision you can take. Are you clear? If this would have been this would have been a vendor A and vendor B, and this would have been a p-value. So what it says, the delivery time of vendor A and delivery time of vendor B are same. So delivery times, there is no differentiation. So you can compare with some other parameter. Maybe you can compare with the cost, you can compare with the quality, you can compare with other elements of vendor development. This is how you make the decisions with the help of statistics. Are you clear? Just give me yes in the chat. So not only the actual data, but futuristic prediction also you can make with the help of hypothesis testing. Are you clear? So you're making the futuristic decisions, not only the mathematical current data, descriptive data, you are actually taking decision on the inferential data. Okay. AC meaning standard error of mean. Standard error of mean. Standard error of mean is calculated by sigma divided by square root of n. So n is equal to 22 and sigma is 1.767. So if you do 1.67 divided by square root of 22, you will get standard error of mean. Okay, so we'll cover this in our advanced tools, advanced statistics. Okay. Are you clear? Basic hypothesis clear? Hey, just give me yes in the chat box, everybody. Basic hypothesis testing clear? Just give me yes. So that let me share my today's. Very good, very good. Okay, now let's understand. Let's come to the topic. This half an hour, 35 minutes, explanation is required. Then now you will easily understand this. Okay. Now, as I mentioned to you this, we have statistic, descriptive and inferential. I have already, explained this. So descriptive also we have central tendency and dispersion. For example, what is central tendency? Let's say when we collect the data, it looks like this, the normal distribution. So there is a mean, right? There is a mean at the center. So where is the center located? And that is called as central tendency. Now that central tendency can be calculated by mean, mode, and median. All right. Now let me give you examples of mean, mode, median. So mean is simple arithmetic average. We all know that it is simple arithmetic average. We add the data divided by number of data points. It is simple mean, correct? Like for example, this, the number of production numbers divided by number of data points. It is simple average. So this is average production. So if you take the average, which is 650, so per day average is 650. whatever is the unit. Okay. Second is mode. Mode is what? Maximum frequently occurring value is called mode. Now just observe this data set. All the new members, okay? Just observe this data set and tell me which data point is occurring maximum frequently. Type in the chat box. Very good, very good. It's called 75. Everybody, can you see? 75 has come once, twice, and thrice. And that's why it is called as a mode. Okay. So mode is maximum occurring value of the data set. It is called mode. So mean is simple average. Mode is maximum occurring value. Median is nothing but if I, if I arrange the data is ascending or descending order, which value is in the center? That is called median. For example, this was the original data set. I arrange the data set in the ascending order, 12, 15, 17, 19, etc. So this value is at the center. 19 is at the center. That's why 19 is called as median of the data set. Clear? Mean, mode, median, all the three parameters are clear. Just give me yes in the chat box. These are three various parameters which are used. Now, when it comes to normal distribution, normal meaning symmetrical distribution, mean, mode, and median are very close to each other. So they are very, very close. I will not say equal, but they are very close to each other and they are lying in the center. As well as when we have a skewed distribution, skewed meaning just like this, okay, the mean, mode, median are different. They are not similar, they are different. That's the difference. Okay, now another question comes, what is the role of median? Why median is very, very important? Let me give you a practical example of this, which I have given you multiple times, but I'll give you again. Let's take example of some data set. Okay. This example is very, very, people like this example. For example, if I take 5 people salary, okay, per annum salary, one person has, let's say, 8 lakh rupees per annum. Another person has 10 lakh rupees, 11, 12, and let's say 15 lakhs. Okay, these are 5 friends in a company. Of course, there are few, what you can say, somebody is 3 years experience, somebody is 5 years experience, somebody is 4 years experience, like that. And of course, education also is a little different. So they are 5 friends. So can you just calculate mean of their salary and the median of their salary? Type in the chat box, everybody. Calculate mean and the median of the salary. I've taken only 5 data points so that you can calculate very easily. You can pull out your calci and do it. Simple. 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 11 lakhs, 12 lakhs, and 15 lakhs. These are the 5 salaries data I have taken. Randomly I have taken. Yeah, what is mean? Yeah, median is very simple. Because I have already arranged it in the ascending order. So this is my central value, median. That is 11. What is mean, by the way? 8 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12 plus 15 divided by 5. What is the mean? 30, 45, 46, 56 divided by 5. 56 divided by 5. It is 11.2, is it? Yes, I think 11.2 is our mean, correct? Everybody understood? Mean is X bar and this is mean, median, correct? Now, let's take, they are sitting in the cafeteria having their snacks, having their coffee, all right? And their CEO joins the table. Okay, now the scenario has changed. Now CEO has joined the table. He asked the team that, can I join? Let's have a chat together, etc. So who would say no to the boss, right? So now CEO has joined the table. Now the data looks like this. So the salary is 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 11, 12, 15, and the CEO salary, let's say 100 lakhs, which is 1 crore, for example. Now the distribution has become a little skewed. There is an outlier in the data set. Can you calculate the median and the mean in this data set quickly? What is the median for now the new data set? Now the CEO with 100 lakh salary has joined the table. What is the mean? Mean is what? 26. I'm just going by your words. I'm not calculating. 26 is the mean. What is the median? What is the median right now? Median is very easy, right? Now, when we have the odd number, let's try to understand this. We had odd numbers, right? 5 people are odd, so only one data point was in the center. But as soon as we add CEO, we have got 6 values. So the numbers have become even. So we have 2 values in the center. So we have to take the average of these 2 values to find out the median. So the median is 11.5. Now just observe this. Just by adding one outlier, which is a non-normal data, because it has become a skewed data. Okay. Our mean has shifted from 11.2 to 26 directly, but our median has not changed drastically. Have you understood this? Have you understood this? Because mean gets influenced by the outliers. Median does not get immediately influenced by the outliers. Have you understood the example with the scenario? Just give me yes in the chat box. Have you understood this? Yes. That means, now understand this. Whenever you have a normal distribution, so here is the funda. So whenever you have a normal distribution like this, you can go for mean. Whenever you have skewed distribution like this, okay, like in case of the, the outlier data, then you can check the median of the data, because median is more stable in case of the skewed distribution. So whenever the non-normal distribution is there, go for median. Whenever normal distribution is there, go for mean. Clear, everybody? Just give me yes in the chat box. So understand the concept first. If there are more outliers, then we have to consider them. Okay, one of the case we can remove. But have you understood this scenario? Just give me yes in the chat box. Clear hai ye? Skewed distribution, go for median. Normal distribution, go for mean. Clear? Now let's move further. Now here we go for non-parametric test. So when do we use non-parametric test? We use non-parametric test when the data is strongly non-normal. Okay. Now in the black belt level, whenever we come across some non-normal data, we use something called transformation. Okay. If the people who have been through the black belt content at least once, can you give me a couple of names or 1 or 2 names of types of transformation? In the black belt level, we generally do it. Can you just give me the name of data transformation? Let me see how many of you remember. When we come across non-normal data, then generally we do this transformation. Can you just remember what was? No? Nobody? How many of you remember Box-Cox transformation? Just give me yes in the chat box. Box-Cox transformation. Then, yes, then we have Johnson transformation. These are different types of transformation we do when we come across non-normal distribution, skewed distribution. So skewed distribution को normal distribution में convert करने के लिए we use transformation. Okay, so we'll not go into the details of it. It is a part of black belt curriculum. Okay, but sometimes even transformation also does not happen. Okay, not all the data can be transformed. So if there is a resistance for transformation and the sample size is small, so non-normal data that is also not getting transformed and with the small samples, then we go for non-parametric test for hypothesis testing. Okay, everybody clear? So when do we use non-parametric test? Whenever we have a non-normal distribution data, and even after transformation also it is not getting transformed, then we go for non-parametric test. Clear? Just give me yes. So where do we use this? Whenever we have non-normal distribution. Whenever we want to go for hypothesis testing of non-normal distribution, go for non-parametric test. Just give me yes in the chat box. Let's see this table. This will give you very easy understanding. So if you have normal distribution, go for parametric test. If you have non-normal distribution, go for non-parametric test. Normal meaning like this, symmetrical distribution. And if you have skewed distribution like this, go for go for non-parametric test. Yes, I'm going to give you this table so that you can refer this. So we will do couple of, I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's say, for example, if you want to check one sample with the standard, then we go for one sample t-test. In green belt, we have the one sample t-test. Okay. Just now, whatever we have seen, just now standard and the pilot, it was actually two sample t-test. When do we use two sample t-test? When we want to compare two independent samples. So standard process and the pilot process were two independent samples. So we go for two sample t-test. Now, if we have those samples non-normal distributed, then instead of two sample t-test, we go for Mann-Whitney test. We go for Mann-Whitney test. Very simple. I'll give you practical examples. When one sample t-test is what? When you want to check one sample with a standard. Example, let's say there is a vendor and the vendor takes average 10 days for delivery. Average is 10 days. And the standard is 8 days. So the standard is 8 days. So I want to compare the average of the vendor's delivery time to the standard, that is called one sample t-test. If I want to compare two vendors, that will become two sample t-test. Okay. Now, when again the data is non-normal distributed, you go for one sample sign test. So it is a counterpart of it. One sample t-test ki jagah pe one sample sign test. Okay. Here, two sample t-test ki jagah pe Mann-Whitney test. If you are going for one-way ANOVA, then instead of that, you go for Moore's-Median test. Now, do you have to remember all these names? The answer is absolutely no. Whenever you come across non-normal distribution and even it is not getting transformed, just go for non-parametric test. Just open this file, check which test you have to perform, select that test in the Minitab and just check the p-value. That will remain exactly similar. Exactly similar. So what we'll do, we will just take a couple of non-parametric test examples so that you can understand it is exactly similar to parametric test. Clear, everybody? Just take a screenshot of this. Anyways, I'm going to share this document in our, below our recording. Okay, so you can download this document and refer that for your future. Just give me yes. Very simple. Even the people who are not aware of hypothesis testing also can easily understand this. Okay. And if you're very new in the system, don't worry about it. as you progress through the green belt analysis phase, you will understand everything what I'm talking about here. Okay. Now, let me quickly, let's talk about one sample sign test. So I'll just take a couple of non-parametric tests. Okay. So one sample sign test का example लेते हैं. So it is counterpart of one sample t-test. Okay. So, all right, let's try to understand this. So price index value for 29 homes of suburban area in Northeast were determined. Real estate record indicate the population median for similar homes of previous year was 115. Okay. The test will determine if the sufficient evidence of judging. So here they have given the standard of median, which is 115. Okay. And we have given a file of the data. Now, what we are checking here is we have a data of 29 homes. Okay. So in 29 homes, they have taken the population of the homes, meaning what is the actual average population. So whatever is the average, the median population. So median population we want to check. So with this value, okay, and whether there is a statistical significant difference or not, we want to check. So how do we go ahead with this? So the median, now, by the way, the median, see, the mean is denoted by X bar, right? I mentioned this earlier. Median is denoted by this symbol. This symbol is called as eta. Eta again is a Greek letter, just like theta, gamma, beta, alpha. This is called eta, E-T-A, eta. Okay. So how we will write? Eta standard. So the null hypothesis will be eta standard is equal to eta sample, let's say, for example. Okay. That means median of standard is equal to median of sample. And the alternate will be exactly opposite. We'll say eta of standard is not equal to eta of sample. So we will check out. Okay, I'll just share this file with you. And I'm just putting this file in the chat. You can just check out this. Yeah, just download this file called exh.stat_stat. Okay, open कीजिए ये file को. I will also open. See, you have to just put that in the software and select that value, select that test, which is required, and then check the p-value. Okay. So let me also open the file for you guys. Here is the file. Once you opened it, let me know in the chat. The price index value हमें देखना है. Okay, done. Yeah. So there is a price index column in the data set. There is a price index column. So that price index column actually we have to check. Okay. So how do we go about it? Go to stat. In the stat, there is called non-parametrics. Okay. Let me go to my file and go to stat and from the bottom, the third last one. Okay, from the bottom, the third last one. It's called non-parametrics. Now we are going for one sample sign test. Just like one sample t-test, we have one sample sign test here. So here you can read, determine whether the median of sample differs significantly from a specified value. Just click on one sample sign test. Now here, we have variable as price index. So just select the C4 column. There are a lot of columns. Let's ignore them. Select the price index column. Click on the test median. Click on the test median. And here you can write 115, which was standard. Standard was 115. The median standard was 115. And we want to check the median of price index, whether there is statistical significant difference. Okay. And click on OK. Everybody with me? I repeat again, just a second. I repeat again, go to stat, go to non-parametrics. The first option is one sample sign test. Click on that. Select the variable in price index. Click on test median because you want to test the median of it. And here you have to write 115 because the standard is 115 and click on OK. And here is our p-value, which is 0.458. Now the rhyming remains the same. What is that rhyming? P low, null go. But because the p-value is 0.4583, we cannot reject null hypothesis. We have to accept null hypothesis. Are you understanding? So what they are saying, that the median of standard is equal to the median of sample. There is no statistically fundamental difference. Yeah, I will repeat again. Okay, so just select this column C4 column here, and the median of this value and the standard median, which is eta or eta, it is equal to 115. So you want to check the median of this column and standard. Is there is statistical significant difference? But a p-value is 0.4583, which shows that there is no statistical significant difference. If this would have been 0.004, then we could have said that yes, there is a statistical significant difference between the median of sample and the median of standard. Okay, so how do we go about it? I'll once again do this. Go to stat, non-parametric, and one sample sign test. The median values, it shows mathematically a little significant, but statistics, it is saying that that difference is not. See, understand this. Median comparing the normal distribution means together and the non-normal distribution medians, it could be huge difference. Okay. So mathematical difference can give us a false indicator. So if we only compare mathematical difference, that can give us the false indicator. Better to go for this kind of a test, okay, statistical test. So we can go for stat, non-parametric, one sample sign test. Select this, select price index in the variable, click on the test median, select 115 and click on OK, and you will get the p. Just check the p-value. That's the most important thing. Okay. See, the median of this column is 144. Okay. And the sample, the standard was 115. So mathematically, it looks a little farther, but this difference is not statistically significant. That's what this hypothesis testing is saying. Clear? So it's called one sample sign test, which is equivalent to one sample t-test. Clear hai everybody? Just give me yes in chat box. So when do we use this? Whenever we have non-normal data. Okay. So एक बार इसको चेक करते हैं whether this data is normal distributed or not. Okay, चलो चेक करते हैं प्राइस इंडेक्स को. How do we check it? Remember, how do we check it? We go for normality test. Okay, how do we check that? Go for normality test and select price index in the variable. Where do we select normality test? Go to stat, basic statistics, normality test. Stat, basic statistic, normality test. Select normality test. Select price index, column number 4, C4, and click on OK. And check the p-value here. If the p-value is less than 0.05, it is indication of non-normal data. If the p-value is greater than 0.05, it is an indication of normal data. Again, non-normal is like this, cube distribution, and normal is like this. This is normal. And this is normal. Clear, everybody? So you can check the normality and decide which test can be done. If it is normal distribution, go for one sample t-test. If it is non-normal distribution, go for one sample sign test. Clear? Simple? I made it super simple now. If this would have been a normal distributed data, I would have gone for one sample t-test. But because this is non-normal data, I'm going for one sample sign test. Clear, everybody? Bulb on, सबका bulb on हो चुका है? Not rocket science. This is very simple. Just you have to check whether it is normal distribution or non-normal distribution. Simple. Okay? एक example और भी लेते हैं. So the conclusion of this test is, the median of that data and the standard, there is not much difference. Okay. So let's say, for example, if there is a vendor and you want to check the delivery time, so there is no statistical significant difference between standard and the vendor delivery. Okay. So you can approve that vendor. You can consider that vendor for your company. Okay. So that's where you can take the decision. Right? Now let me just go for another test. और एक टेस्ट में दिखा देता हूं फटाफट. Let's go for okay. Let's go for Mann-Whitney test. Mann-Whitney है क्या? Okay. Let's go for Moore's median test. Let's go for Moore's median test. एक बार और एक टेस्ट ले लेते हैं, then we'll close the session. Okay. See, initially it will be a little difficult, but if you see very closely, now it is very simple. Normal data, go for parametric. Non-normal data, go for non-parametric. Normal data, go for mean. Non-normal data, go for median. Very simple. And a comparison table is given in front of you. Okay. Now, when we use ANOVA, when you want to compare, let's say, more than two means, then we go for ANOVA. Remember, right? Let's say you want to compare vendor A, vendor B, vendor C. Like, for example, just for the people, let's say there is vendor A. Yes, enlarge it. Let's say, for example, if we have vendor A, vendor B, if we want to compare these two, so it will be what? Two sample t-test. But if there is third vendor like C, then we'll go for ANOVA. Right? Remember, if we have more than two samples, go for ANOVA. Similarly, if we have more than two non-normal samples, non-normal distribution, go for Moore's median test. Okay. Instead of ANOVA, we are going for Moore's median test. Again, these are all names given by the after the name of the statisticians. Okay. Wilcoxon and Mann-Whitney and Moore's median and Pruskal, Wallace and Friedman, all these are statisticians' name given. Now let's take a quick scenario of this. 179 participants participated, just very simple this one. And they were into three categories. One is pre-professional, professional, and college students. Okay, let's say college students are the students learning in the college. Pre-professionals are the professionals who are just under the apprenticeship. Okay, and professionals are already, they are experts in the field. Okay, so 0, 1, and 2 are the indicators of that. So we have got 179 participants. Okay, we want to check pre-professionals. So ITA of pre-professional is equal to ITA of professional is equal to ITA of college students. This is my null hypothesis. And my alternate hypothesis is ITA of professional is not equal to ITA of the pre-professionals. And either one of them there is a difference, the null hypothesis will fail. Okay, this is the hypothesis testing. Let me share with you this data file, and we will do this. Just open this file which I have given in your chat. Isko kar lete, then we'll close the session. Okay. Just for your understanding, and this entire file with Minitab files I'll be sharing with you in the masterclass archive. Okay. Open the file and let me know. So there is a OT score which is given, which is just generally a exam score. Basically, it's given. We want to compare these three groups. Okay, whether there is a statistical significant difference. Have you understood the scenario? There are three groups giving the exam. Okay. See, dependent and independent parameters are what? So let's say y is equal to function of x, right? Y is my dependent parameter. X is my independent parameter, right? Test of T. Test is my dependent parameter. Quantity of sugar is my independent parameter. Are you understanding? So there's a difference between dependent and independent parameter. Clear? Now, let me just open this file. Once you open it, let me know in the chat box, okay? So in the file, once you open it, let me know. In the file, we have a lot of data, but we are interested in these two columns. Let me explain you this. We are interested in the column called C3, sorry, C3, and column called Otis. Otis is generally a score, okay? So if you see the C3 column, which is education levels, basically 0, 1, and 2, which I have already explained you. So 0, there are a lot of data points in 0, 0, 0, you can see 0, 0, 0, 0. Then suddenly after 56, 1 will start, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And after that, 2, 2, 2 will start. Okay, later it will 2, 2, 2. You can see here. From 110 onwards, there is 2. Okay, so 0, 1, and 2, the three groups data is there. And the score has been given in the column C5. Okay, so we are basically going for the test which is called as Moore's median test. Okay, Moore's median test. So let me share my file with you. Everybody, I hope you have opened it. Okay, so here my Y is my score, Otis, and my factor is my education level. Okay, so how do we select this? Go to stat, non-parametric, Moore's median test. Just follow this path. Stat, non-parametric, Moore's median test. Stat, non-parametrics, Moore's median test. Just click on Moore's median test. Now, in this case, response is nothing but our Otis, the score. Double click on Otis, and factor is nothing but aid, education. Double click on aid. So response is Otis and factor is aid. and click on OK. Just check the p-value. So where is the p-value? Just click on here, the sessions folder, or you can just drag this down. Scroll it up, you will find the p-value, which is 0.000. Wow, this is amazing. So I'm writing here my null hypothesis was again, all medians are equal. So eta of 0 is equal to eta of 1 is equal to eta of 2. And my alternate is eta of 0 is not equal to eta of 1 is not equal to eta of 2, right? So P is equal to 0.000. That means lower than 0.05. And we know that P low, null, go. That means we have to reject null hypothesis and accept the alternate, which says that there is a statistical significant difference between the medians. Now, if you see, observe the medians very closely, you can see the median of the first data set is 97.5, median of second data set is 106, and median of third data set is 116. So there is a statistical significant difference according to this test. Are you clear? Just give me yes in the chat box. So the second wala thing. So if you remember, the 0, 1 is, I think 0 are the students, right? Students. Then 1 is pre-professionals. And 2 is professional. Okay, so the professional median is 116.5, which is the highest. And it is statistically significantly different than the other two. So this is how you can do various tests according to this, okay? That's why. So here in this, in this non-parametric test, like our parametric test, okay? See what happens, there are a lot of parameters in non-normal data. For example, let me give you a simple example. Some values are a little skewed like this. Some values are extremely skewed like this, for example. Okay. Some values are very small skewed like this. So there is a lot of parameters you have to change. If you remember, we discussed about skewness and kurtosis. Have you heard about these names? Skewness and kurtosis? Just type yes in the chat box. Giriji, have you heard about? I think in our statistical parameter changing, yeah? Yes. So skewness, kurtosis, all those things also come into picture when it comes to non-normal data. So they check skewness, they check kurtosis, and all those other calculations also come into picture. So it's not very simple calculation, but thankfully we have, we have our Minitab software. We have to just feed the data, check the p-value, and take the decision. That's it. All right. So today's topic was a little complex for the new members, but just to make it very simple, just to conclude the topic in one word, parametric test we are already studying in our green belt and the black belt. Okay. Whenever the data is non-normal, go for non-parametric test. That's it. Just to summarize the today's session of this entire 1 hour 15 seconds, 15 minutes. Okay. It's more interesting than non-normal data. Than normal data. Okay. Yes. So see, ultimately, if you see this, it's actually simple. If it is normal data, go for parametric. If it is non-normal data, go for non-parametric. And do I have to remember one sample Wilcoxon or Mann-Whitney or Moods-Medin? No. Just open this file, check this. You can Google on this, and you can find out. It's very easily available. Don't have to remember anything. Clear, everybody? Just type C in the chat box if you're very clear with this. P low, null go, conclusion of both example. It's very simple. Anuj, it's very, very simple. Okay, let me just check. Let me go to my whiteboard. Okay. Actually, it's very, very, very easy actually. See, when we say P low, that means what? P low and null go. That is our rhyme, right? So when I say P low, meaning P lower than 0.05, then null go meaning reject null. Okay. And this is the only thing you need to remember. That's it. When the P is lower than 0.05, just reject null. So you don't have to remember the other side of it. So what will happen when the P is higher? It's very simple. You don't reject the null hypothesis. So you accept the null hypothesis. What is null hypothesis? Statement of equality. Both are equal. What is the alternate? Both are different. Simple. So you collect the data, put that data in the software. Software will calculate a p-value. Check the p-value is low. When it is lower than, low meaning simple, lower than 0.05. It's a standard number. So if lower than 0.05, reject null. If it is higher than 0.05, accept null. Simple. Clear? Anuji? Super clear hai ye? And what is p-value, etc. So we have a separate session, okay, on this, okay, p-value ke liye. Okay? Super, super. Now, before I conclude, I want to announce a couple of things. One is tomorrow we have the yellow belt session. Okay, please send your referrals. Okay, we will put the link of the session in the community tab. So you can share it with your colleagues, friends, family members. If they want to join, you will get a referral bonus of rupees 4,000. Okay, if they upgrade, of course. If they upgrade to green belt and black belt, you will get a 40% referral bonus. Now, the second announcement is most of you would have seen the festival offer, right? How many of you have seen the festival offer? Just give me yes in the chat box. The festival offer email, festival offer message, WhatsApp message. Have you seen that festival offer wala thing? Just give me yes in the chat box, everybody. So for this special occasion, we are announcing, let me just quickly take you through that. Okay. So this festival offer, the first offer in that is for the master black belt. Okay. Now for master black belt, the original price is 75,000. Okay. There's a small video also given with all the explanation. Okay. FAQ, etc. For example, who can join master black belt? Everybody in SNG should join the master black belt. Okay. Will you get a certificate? Yes, you will get. Absolutely yes. Okay. What you will learn? So you will learn advanced tools. You will learn deployment strategy, project monitoring, advanced analytics. And if you want to start your own consulting business, MBB certification will be a great deal. Okay. Then expected salary is 45 lakhs per annum in India. I have already shown you multiple times. Okay. So the offer is general 29,999 plus GST wala offer. In this, before end of the day tomorrow, you are getting 9,999 including GST. Now, this is the offer. Okay, you are saving a lot of amount as well as GST as well. So we are absorbing GST on us so that you guys can take the go to the next level. Now, again, the same thing on the link, you can go for the credit card EMI option as well. Okay, the second option was about the offer number 2 was about the consulting business launch program. Now, a lot of people have had a one-on-one conversation with me in the past about it. A lot of people have already enrolled to this program. Now, those people, you can see the investment is 3 lakh rupees plus GST. Okay. So, see, consulting is a big time opportunity or big time playing. See, nowadays, because of AI, because of artificial intelligence and, industry 4.0, lot of jobs, number of jobs are going to cut. Okay. So this is the time we should become independent. Okay. So there is something called a gig economy, which will play a very crucial role in coming decade. Okay. So we have to be ready for the gig economy. Gig economy is nothing but we are independent consultants. We will work as independent consultant, and Lean Six Sigma consulting is one of the very, very what you can say, enriching journey for as far as me, myself is concerned. There are hundreds and thousands of my students who are also doing the same thing. You will also agree with me. Okay. So you can become a trainer and consultant just like me. How you can do that? So all the business angle we have covered into this, how to generate the leads, how to, close the project, project closure meaning how to take the lead, how to close the lead, how to take the, what you can say, projects, onboarded, how to consult industries, how to write the proposal, how to negotiate with the client, everything, how to take the referrals, all the business angles are covered. Now, this is also for all the SNG members. Okay, I want all of you can become equally and even much better than me in delivering the training, consulting, coaching, and become financially independent as well. Okay, so this is what this program. So the offer is very amazing. So the in the real life scenario, we give offer at 1 lakh rupees plus GST, but before tomorrow, end of the day, it is 50% off, 49.99, and that is including GST. So you can grab this opportunity too. Okay. So I think these are two offers. Tomorrow before 12 midnight, these offers are valid. Please go ahead, grab this opportunity. Credit card EMIs are available. Any kind of doubt you have, just type, send a message on our mentor number, and we will be more than happy to support you. Okay. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much for joining in. Keep learning, keep growing. This is Dinesh Patil signing off. Bye bye. Take care and enjoy the weekend with your family. Okay. Bye bye. Take care. Good night.